I'm Josh with Waupaca Community Media. We're back for our weekly-ish update, maybe a couple weeks off after this with the holidays in there. We've got Aaron Jensen from the state of Waupaca, Ron Sorry from the Waupaca School District, and a lot to talk about. How are you guys doing?
Hey, doing good. Great, thanks.
The first thing we want to touch on is the Halloween party that happened downtown Waupaca a couple weeks ago, and that received some tremendous positive response. So, Aaron, does that mean it's coming back?
It does. We can officially say that. So we had a debrief meeting with the planning team today, and everyone was on the same page. I thought it was just too successful, too many people with great comments to not bring it back. It's not often you get that first year event to bring in 1,500 to 2,000 people, and why not build off of that? And we have some other thoughts that we need to execute over the next several months to add to it, but we're excited about where we can go from here. So October 28th, a year out. Don't tell me you have anything planned.
Something else big coming to the city is citywide garbage and recycling collection that starts in January. And I know our residents can soon expect over the next several weeks to start having their containers show up. And one of the concerns with the implementation of the program is maybe low-income residents maybe having issues paying for this if they're maybe doing a more affordable option. The city got some good news. There's a program that we've got right now that can assist with that.
Yeah, so I'll just kind of start by saying we obviously council and voted on an ordinance passage and a contract that is going to provide citywide garbage contract. And that was based off of some surveys, and approximately 90% of the people who responded to the survey were in favor of it. And whereas it might cost you $400 for typical garbage and recycling service over the course of a year, this will cost you under $150. So big savings there. That being said, there are a few people that have used the recycling center, pay by the bag, things like that. And it may be a little bit more money for them. Now they'll be getting that extra service, but for those people, if they cannot afford it, we found out that the CDBG-CV program, which no one has to worry about those
Don't worry
letters.
what that stands for.
It's a housing assistance program. It's one of the grants that our grant writer Greg received. It's for utility assistance, and because this will be on the utility bill, the garbage and refuse would also be eligible for that. So if somebody can't pay for it, there is that opportunity, and they can go to CAP Services website to apply for that. And right when you first get there, the first big banner that shows up talks about the housing assistance program. So go to there, and if you need help, call CAP Services or call the city, and we can get you in the right place.
Very cool. We talked the past couple of weeks about how well some of the school athletic teams have done this season, and we've got team kind of Athletics of the Mind that had a successful season. Tell us about that, Ron.
Yeah, we have high school and middle school chess teams, and they competed last weekend in Oshkosh at UW Oshkosh in a variety of different tournaments there. And we had a lot of students come back with trophies, and one was called the Belt. And one of our middle school chess players, Maddie Comp, came back with the belt for being the best middle school chess player in that tournament. So yeah, that was pretty exciting to see all of the success and the trophies that our Comets brought back from those tournaments.
Very cool. And speaking of student activities, you've got a brand new club starting this winter.
Yeah, at the Tuesday board meeting, the board approved the ice fishing club. And I think there's like 120 or 180 different schools in Wisconsin that have an ice fishing club, or an ice fishing team, I should say. And so now we're one of them. And so if any students in 8th grade through 12th grade that are interested, they can join, and they'll participate in 4 or 5 ice fishing tournaments this winter on weekends, usually Saturdays, across the state. And I'm just really excited about it because it's another activity that we are able to provide for our kids that involves the outdoors. And I love the outdoors, and I love that we're able to promote for students to come into lifelong hobbies that involve the outdoors, and to get anything that we can do to get our kids in their free time involved in the outdoors instead of on a tablet or a cell phone, I think is a positive thing for our kids. So yeah, we're real excited about it.
One thing you mentioned before we got on the interview is if the students don't have the equipment, they can borrow that as part of the program?
Yes, we are receiving donations. Different people that were watching the board or at the board meeting, we're getting equipment and different resources donated. And I believe that they also are planning to do a fundraiser as well. So even if a student's parents aren't interested in ice fishing and every bit, but the student has that interest or is wanting to get involved, they'll get set up.
Perfect. Now to some more of the serious topics. The city's almost wrapped up getting their 2022 budget put together, and there's going to be a budget hearing next Tuesday. So Aaron, what are some of the high points on the budget? And I know there's a little bit of good news for the taxpayer in there too.
Yeah, so first I want to just credit Mayor Smith and Kathy, our finance director, for preparing the budget. They'll be presenting that next week. There will be a public hearing, as you mentioned, immediately prior to the council meeting, and then we'll look to pass it during the council meeting. So really, right now, the budget that's coming forward, taxpayers in the city would see a decrease if that is adopted. A fairly substantial decrease, actually, in the overall mill rate, over $1. And not only that for the overall, but also the city's portion of that mill rate is also looking to have a decrease if we pass this budget. So, and I think the important thing to say too is that there's not a decrease in services with that. So that's something that I know that our council members, elected officials, mayor always feel, staff, of course, always feel is important. And we were able to do that this year, and we look forward to that discussion. And if anyone wants any information on it, it should be posted on the website by the end of today. They can look over it this weekend, and then leading up to Tuesday night.
And then we want to talk a little bit about a couple things from the school board meeting this past week. And the first one was a presentation called Portrait of a Learner. What's that all about, Ron?
That was the first in a series of presentations that we're going to do in the upcoming months for our board, but also for our staff and our parents and our community. And this one focused on our students and some of the challenges that our students face and some of the programming that we already have in place, but also what the focus is to help people understand what we need to do differently to better meet some of our students' needs. This past 18 to 20 months with the COVID and the way we had to deliver services wasn't the best, I guess, but we did what we had to do. We were in survival mode. We did what we had to do. But now we're seeing some student achievement declines from this that we have to address. And so, yeah, the Portrait of a Learner, that presentation is going to be in my update that I send out to our families and our staff today. And hopefully people look at it, and there'll be more of these presentations coming. The next one is going to be about data. So our principals will be talking about their building data and their building report card outcomes, which will be painting a picture. It's not going to be pretty, but it's going to show the decline in student achievement that's occurred with this COVID lockdown that we've experienced.
And you can look at COVID exposed a lot of things, not just with schools, but just in other industries, other businesses, other services out there. It's exposed different pitfalls and pros and cons. And I know a lot of different places are adjusting as well. So it's good to see the school kind of on the same path, helping use that to make improvements. And then there was a new policy approved at the board meeting as well that I know you want to touch on.
Yeah, there's several policies. And every month we're bringing new policies because we're transitioning from our old system into our new policy system. But this one is, no matter who a person is, I think they're going to appreciate it. It's called Controversial Issues in the Classroom. And we have learning targets and we have a curriculum. And so it's important for us to teach our curriculum. And that's what this policy talks about, but it also talks about the fact that there is no indoctrination that can occur we don't indoctrinate our students. And so no matter if a person's perspective is on the left or the right side, it's important for our instructors to use data and to teach with an open mind. And if something is brought in, it would have to be approved by the principal before it would be taught. So I think this policy is a good one and it's timely. And I think everybody will appreciate it if they read it.
You know, without seeing it or knowing the details of, I guess the one comment I can make in the past year and a half, we've seen how polarizing things have become, and have a vetting process in place to make sure what's happening in the classroom makes sense. Seems like a smart idea at this time.
Well, thank you. Appreciate that, Josh.
Well, Ron, Aaron, appreciate the update. We might not talk for a couple of weeks here with vacation schedules and Thanksgiving, but we'll be back in a couple of weeks with another update. And always good to hear what's going on in our community.
And we got that hunting season coming up, right?
That's right. That's coming up. Stay safe, everyone.
Okay. Have a good one. Thank you.
See ya.